We both know that.
But you want to relate to me? You're trying to be nice.
I'm trying to be nice. So I always bring up the Chiefs just to be a good guy.
Yeah, it was the Chiefs. What happened?
And, like, you totally leave out that there was a kid running around in blackface over the weekend? Is that what you did to me?
I'm so sorry.
How do you not know to bring that up?
Yeah, you know what? I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, okay. And then it just kept saying I should have been like, oh, that's going to be something to bring up on the show.
We could have been first.
We could have scooped it, man.
We could have scooped these people. We didn't scoop anybody. So you were asleep at the wheel.
I know. Instead, Deadspin got us.
Yeah, Deadspin. And Deadspin, have you seen this? Deadspin.
Gosh.
So Deadspin basically has gone after a child and saying that he's wearing blackface because he had half of his face painted black and half of his face painted red, and he's wearing a Native American headdress. It's crazy. The kid was not wearing blackface. He's wearing war paint. But we knew they were going to come after the Chiefs. We've talked about this. Chiefs are next.
Yeah, I guess so.
I feel like that old saying, it's like there's a Washington Redskins fan. He's like, they came for me and nobody said anything. And there's a Cleveland Indians fan. He's like, and they came for me. Nobody said anything. There's a Chiefs fan. He's like, and then they came for me. And there was nobody left. That's all I can picture. So Deadspin goes after a child. Attacks a child. I mean, how old does this kid look? 13, 14?
Yeah, most, honestly.
And he's half of his face is painted red. Half of his face is painted black.
Yep.
All of the pictures on the socials that have been circulating only show the Justin Trudeau side.
Well, yeah, because, for whatever reason, I mean, the broadcast, going through the fans, showing fans, and then they show, him for a split second, and that's the screenshot that gets taken because that was on the national broadcast, and it happened to be that side. So that's what I saw, but until you showed me the Deadspin article.
The Deadspin article is something special.
Yeah, that's. I mean, wow.
This guy,
journalism at its finest.
Oh my gosh, listen to the journalism. just all right. Let's start with the title, the little preview text in the first paragraph. Okay. The NFL needs to speak out against the Kansas City Chiefs fan in blackface native headdress. They're doubling up on the racism. Are you going to say anything, Roger Goodell? Are you, Roger? Well, we're waiting. And then the first paragraph. It takes a lot to disrespect two groups of people at once. But on Sunday afternoon in Las Vegas, a Kansas City Chiefs fan found a way to hate black people and the Native Americans at the same time. I don't think it takes a lot to disrespect two groups of people.
That's relatively
that's light work. That's light work. I could disrespect two groups of people with a blindfold on.
Hey, that's one. There's the blind people we got.
Perfect. I've insulted blind people.
That's one of them.
What do you say?
Oh, hey, there's two. We got two now. We got the blind and the deaf.
Oh. Well, if they were listening, they'd be very upset. What? Sure. I know you can get subtitles on Super Talk TV, but if I talk quick enough, all the subtitles jumble together and you don't know what I'm saying anyway. The artificial intelligence isn't that good yet. But so they go after a child. They went after a child for wearing paint to a football game. Now, listen, if you want to attack the kid because it's a regular season game, I get that. Like, I could see Mac wearing this face paint, but it would have to be like the AFC Championship game in the snow.
Huge game.
Right? Like, yeah. If you're going to attack the kid for anything, it's, what week is it? Who are they playing?
Yeah, Raiders, week 12, yeah.
It's not really a face paint game.
No, that's a little much. It's a little much.
Save it. Save it for a big game. I think that's the only thing you can really attack the kid for. Gotta wasted it on a nothing game.
6447 asks the correct question. What's Deadspin? That's great. You don't need to know. That's perfect.
2333 said Deadspin must have the same journalists as the TN Holler. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much if you removed all the Tennessee stuff and added sports stuff, it's the Deadspin Holler.
Yeah, that's it.
It's pretty much what it is. But they attack this kid. They go right after him, and they want Roger Goodell to answer for this. All right. Cool. Cool. The Deadspin thing. I mean, their article, it's wild. This is from the article. The image of a Chiefs fan in blackface wearing a native headdress during a road game leads to so many unanswered questions. Why did the camera person give this fan the attention? Why did the producer allow that camera angle to be aired at all? Is that fan a kid, teenager, or a young adult? So they're admitting it's a minor that they're attacking.
Yeah.
Despite their age, who taught that person that what they were wearing was appropriate? Okay. Who cares? who cares? Let the kid wear a headdress. Like, all right. The answers to all of those questions lead back to the NFL. While it isn't the league's responsibility to stop racism and hate from being taught in the home, it's not. It's not the NFL's responsibility to stop racism and hate from being taught in the home. I thought that was the thing. They are a league that has relentlessly participated in prejudice. If the NFL had outlawed the chop at Chiefs games and been more aggressive in changing the team's names, then we wouldn't be here. Oh, they're coming after your chop, Mac.
I know. The chop's next.
Chop the chop.
That's gonna be it. That's gonna be the movement.
That's the hashtag right there. Chop the chop. What do you think the new name's gonna be?
Gosh, it's gonna be something stupid.
Like the Kansas City Colonels.
Ugh.
Oh, that's a good one.
No.
You don't like that?
I'd honestly love it if we did have to change, we could just stick with, because we're the Royals, maybe we're like the Monarchs. I don't know. The King, they can't do the Kings, because we were the Kansas City Kings before they moved to Sacramento in the NBA. So I don't know. I hope I don't have to worry about that, though. But I know I will.
Well, yeah, because Deadspin says there's no place for a franchise to be called the Chiefs in a league that's already eradicated the Redskins. Are they cheering on the eradication of the Redskins? I don't know. That's weird. It's a weird phrase. There's no pretty way to mascot people, Amanda Blackhorse, a Native American activist and organizer of a pregame protest rally, told USA Today Sports earlier this year. Okay. I always go back to what Trump said. It's like, we don't choose mascots that are weak. We choose them because they're strong. You know, it kind of makes sense to me. To me, them going after this kid, it feels eerily similar to the Covington, Kentucky Catholic school and Nick Sandmann, where I'm sure that if you watch that game, the Deadspin writer would have seen a camera angle where they have both sides of the kid's face, just naturally. The evidence would have been there. Had they gone back and reviewed the actual footage, they could have seen more, but they didn't. And it's just like what happened in D.C. with the Covington Catholic kids from Kentucky. The video footage showed the Native American walk up to a group of kids minding their own business and start banging a drum in their face. And Nick Sandmann awkwardly smiles as he waits for the guy to move on. And they claim that Nick Sandmann is a racist. If you do a little bit more investigating, you would have come to the right conclusion. Now, despite everybody pointing out that this journalist came to the wrong conclusion, do you know what he did? He doubled down.
Oh, yeah.
Always, listen, if you learn anything from the Chris Hand Show, if you make a mistake, double down.
Double down.
Double down. Every time, double down. I teach my kids that. If you screw something up, double down. Do it again, but bigger.
Harder.
This is the move. So, Karan J. Phillips is the writer's name. He said, for the idiots in my mentions who are treating this as some harmless act because the other side of his face was painted red, I could make the argument it makes it even worse.
What?
Y'all are the ones who hate Mexicans but wear sombreros on Cinco. Oh. Weird.
Oh, man.
Y'all hate Mexicans, but wear sombreros on Cinco. Okay. Nice.
That was like the Chris Christie burn. He thought he really got us there. with the what did he do to Trump? What was the burn that he got?
Donald Duck.
Donald Duck. Yeah, that was like that moment.
You wear sombreros on Cinco. Yes, and Trump Tower has the best burrito bowls. Thank you. Andy No tweeted about it. Everybody's kind of going off on this thing. Post Millennial wrote an article about it. I think Breitbart covered it. Everybody's kind of like, why are you attacking a child? But why? And they do it because they're weak. They attack the weak. They don't attack the strong. They attack the weak. This is what bullies do. And these woke writers on the left are bullies. I mean, dude, this article is like long. It's very long, the Deadspin article. It's just chaos. And I think that this guy should honestly, if Deadspin had any actual, journalistic credibility, integrity, they would fire this guy for targeting a child. He targeted a child.
Yeah, the only argument against that would be the clicks and the engagement that this has gotten.
Well, that's all it's about.
100%.
Racism always equals clicks.
It's a lot of clicks.
It's a lot of clicks. And these stories get clicks. This is a clickbait story. 100%. Did we fall for it? Did we fall for the clickbait?
Oh yeah. I think the only devil's advocate here is if you're his parents, you probably you have one of two options. You should probably know that could happen in today's day and age, that you're setting yourself up, and you either one, don't do it, or two, you say, I don't really care, and I know where I stand, I know my beliefs, and you can trash my kid or trash whatever, but this is what he wanted to do and we don't care. Yeah. But you probably, are we surprised?
No.
Yeah. Exactly.
If I was the parents, going to the next game.
We're getting tickets again. We're flying to wherever they're playing.
And this time,
oh, no.
This time, full blackface.
Oh, gosh.
What? Justin Trudeau gets away with it like every weekend. Also, I don't want to bury the lead, but the kid's wearing a Travis Kelce jersey.
I was wondering when you were going to bring up that point.
So, just another instance of the left eating their own. The kid's obviously pro-vax and max boosted, so they attack the people in their camp. So dumb. Listen, I would go to the next game. I would rock a Taylor Swift shirt, full black face with the headdress, just to make a point. Poor kid. The guy at Deadspin should be fired. I think it's ridiculous that they target kids. And that's what they're doing. They're targeting an actual child. We got more actual news on the way. There are some things that I want to talk about, including, re-digging into what happened in Ireland. I want to talk about Joe Biden's presser. Did you know that this was the fourth cheapest Thanksgiving ever on record? That's what Joe Biden said. We'll talk about it next. It's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at United Structural Systems, USS. They've been doing their thing in Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they have 25,000 satisfied customers to back them up. But what do these guys do? Well, they do a lot. Whatever your house may need, these guys can probably help. When it comes to crawl space encapsulation, USS is king. When it comes to foundation repair, they have your back. Sinkhole repair, always down for sinkhole repair. Basement wall realignment, concrete lifting, structural repair. The guys at USS will help you, and they'll help you figure out a custom plan for your home. When I had the chance to sit down and talk to these guys, they told me that they're in an industry where you don't know you need them until you know you need them. And when you know you need them, you really need them. So look around your house. Have you noticed water in your crawl space? Do you notice wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors, maybe some sinking steps, some cracks around your foundation? Those are all signs that your house is trying to say, call USS. So call USS, United Structural Systems, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or online at USSTN.com.
Got a crash north of downtown, blocking a 65 southbound shoulder there at Trinity Lane, and major money going behind one of the Republican presidential hopefuls. We'll tell you about it at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. We are talking about the most racist kid in America, according to Deadspin, who had the audacity to paint his face black and red for the Chiefs game over the weekend. And the fact that Mac didn't think it was important enough to tell me that there was a kid running around the Chiefs game in blackface. We're taking your text at 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. 4295 said, a boy can dress as a girl, but don't you dare dress as an Indian. What if you dress as a female Indian? Like, does the bravery cancel out the racism in that
That's
scenario?
the loophole. That's it.
Is that it? 8210 said Roger Goodell makes $30 million a year. I'm sure he really cares what Deadspin thinks. He'll use that article for toilet paper.
Yeah.
Does Roger Goodell really make $30 million a year?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I could look it up, but yeah, they just signed an extension. He's got another few years.
What a loser!
Oh, I know. He's the worst.
Absolute loser.
1333 says, could you please stop saying the R word, Redskins?
Oh, is that the R word now? I thought there were other R words I wasn't allowed to say. I'm not going to say those, but I thought about it.
Oh, I know you want to.
I really do. I'm trying so hard. All right. 6135 said, here's an idea for when they force you to change the name because Chiefs is, problematic. The KC Fire Chiefs.
Oh, I love that.
You just add a fireman logo and boom, and then you get to keep your chop.
Keep chop because it's the axe.
It's the you're
oh,
saving
that's a
people.
good. I love that.
It's not racist. It's heroic.
I'm all in. I
would-
want to stay the Chiefs. So
Yeah, and you could flip it. Instead of being a racist football fan, you're heroic.
Heroic.
I like that. Somebody else also pointed out the fact that none of the Raiders fans get called out for blackface when they have half black, half silver. So weird.
Yeah. No, and they look way scarier. So
Way scarier.
way scarier.
Way drunker.
Way drunker than the 11-year-olds.
But way drunker. Let's go to Gary in Portland real quick. He has a comment on the Chiefs. Gary, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Oh, just trying to make some comments about the history of this country.
Yeah, let's do it.
The American Indians tried to be annihilated, and a lot of the warriors were killed. A lot of female Indians were left with nothing. The black man was discriminated against, but they survived strongly during the cowboy years. A lot of them took a lot of the black men took American Indian wives. So I'm defending that boy. I don't know him, but I have a heart for him. I am a descendant of the American Indian, Choctaw Indian, and I think they shouldn't be rode so hard. I hate to think the thought of the Kansas City Chiefs name being stripped from them.
Oh,
I just don't think it's right.
It's coming, Gary. They came for the Redskins. They came for the Indians. Chiefs are next. They are absolutely
No,
next
that's
on the chopping block. No pun intended.
You're right. They're not going to stop.
No, you're
That is
absolutely
wrong.
yeah. Thanks for the call, Gary. Yeah, it seems like the woke left are coming for the scalps, and they want all of those racist names removed because outrage porn and all that. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver in the news.
$9:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Election 2024 news. Americans for Prosperity Action, the advocacy organization backed by billionaire Charles Cook, is endorsing Nikki Haley as the Republican alternative to Donald Trump ahead of the Iowa caucus that begins in less than 50 days. Hunter Biden is willing to testify before the House Oversight Committee, but only in public, according to a letter his attorney wrote to Republican lawmakers today. Well, committee chairman James Comer says Hunter Biden should have the opportunity to testify publicly, but he is still expected to follow the rules like everyone else and be there for his deposition on December 13th, like the subpoena issued on November 8th says. Israel-Hamas war update. Israel claims Hamas has violated terms of the ceasefire after 3 detonations and gunfire that injured IDF soldiers in Gaza. An Iranian-backed hacker group, which calls itself Cyber Avengers, claims it breached a municipal water supply for about 6,600 residents in western Pennsylvania. Authorities, including Homeland Security and the FBI, are investigating. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, All you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that, is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I had a text here from our friend Mike. He said, had to unload a drop. Did I miss the Maury roast? Mike. You did, Mike.
It's over, Mike.
We gave it to Mac for not pointing out that there was a kid at the Chiefs game. And do we say half face?
It was half. Yeah.
He was in half face.
Half face.
Yeah, they try to claim full blackface. It was half face. But Mike, I got to tell you, man, you don't have to miss anything. You can take us with you wherever you go by downloading the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, or the SuperTalk 99.7 WTN app. All available in your app store. And you put your little earbuds in. I mean, depending on how far you're going to unload that drop, you can leave the phone in the car. Still have us.
Show starts at 9.
Also, show starts at 9. Every day, actually, every day.
And the Maury roast probably isn't over. It's usually just 9 to noon, Mike. So there'll be more, I'm sure.
There we have more to get to with Mac. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Everybody's chiming in on the Super Text line about the Kansas City Chiefs having to change their name. Somebody said, should the Vikings name be changed too? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Derogatory. How about the Eagles, since they're a protected and endangered species? Oh, yes. All endangered species. What about the Browns, since they're considered black? So, I don't know. That's What about Green Bay? We're just going to pass that one. We're going to pass the Green Bay one.
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody can kind of fill in the blanks.
Yep.
The Jets, because they contribute to climate change. That's a good one. We should change the Jets. The Buccaneers, because they were thieves and rapists, just for starters. That's a good start. It's a good start. We should change everything. We go just full snowflake ball and bubble wrap everything. We need to bubble wrap everything.
Wendy said, I missed the roast. Hey, Max Murray sucks.
Yeah, we don't like that Max Murray.
Yeah, Max Murray. He's the worst.
She trolls you on the Super Text line more than anybody. Wendy is a world-class troll.
Yes.
She's constantly roasting us on the Super Text line, so thank you for that. Somebody had a comment about Michael Jackson doing whiteface. I'm going to leave that one alone. 1833 said we're waiting on Taylor to tweet out the new name.
The Kansas City Swifts.
Swifties, that's our favorite team. How about the Atlanta Braves? Yeah, we should change that one too. I almost wore I have an old school Braves hat back when they were the Boston Braves.
Oh, that's cool.
It's got the Indian full headdress.
Dang.
I almost wore it in solidarity for the kid, but I was running late. I'll wear it in solidarity for him tomorrow. Can we be in solidarity a day late? Is that all right?
Yeah, at this point, 2 days late, but yeah, we'll
2 days late.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mac. Thanks, Mac.
Sorry. My fault.
So funny. Did you know that Thanksgiving was the fourth cheapest Thanksgiving on record?
Really? Wow.
Honestly, I didn't know that, but now that I
Didn't
know,
feel that.
now that I know, I'm impressed with what this president's been doing. Fourth cheapest ever. I mean, there's a lot of Thanksgivings that have happened.
So many Thanksgivings.
It's a lot. It's a lot of Thanksgivings, and this is the fourth cheapest. This is what Joe Biden said yesterday when he's doing this big press conference. What was he talking about? I don't know. Most of the comments that I have is he's talking supply chains. So he's touting all the successes, and he's, by the way, fourth cheapest Thanksgiving ever.
In fact, as a share of earnings this Thanksgiving, dinner was the fourth cheapest ever on record. I want you all to know that.
All right. So, in case you were wondering and feeling like it was more expensive this year, nope. We fact checked it, and it wasn't more expensive this year. It was the
fourth cheapest ever on record. I want you all to know that. I look at all the press. Look at that.
Is he just traveling now with a clap squad?
They were so ready.
Dude, it's
Right
like,
by the mic.
It's like three people. They're like, yeah, woo.
They had like clap
Look at all the
auditions.
press. Look at that.
It's like seven people. Where's my clap squad?
I look at all the press. Look at that. Press is particularly excited about that. I can
Yeah,
see.
your clap squad's excited. Clap squad's excited. But as he's talking about infrastructure, Joe Biden touts all the successes. Everything, prices are going down. Everything's cheaper.
Well, this past week, as Americans gathered around their own kitchen tables for Thanksgiving dinner, that was our goal, to give them a little more breathing room. And together, we made progress. You know, from turkey to air travel to tank of gas, costs went down. They went down.
We said this yesterday. When costs go up as much as they did, and then they come down a teeny tiny bit, you're just celebrating less of a failure. You still failed, still screwed up, but you did it less. Like if you came in 10th place last race, and then you came in 9th place, you still lost. Still lost. But that's our president. He's got to celebrate these wins. You know, they always say, like, listen, it's the messaging. We're doing all these things, and the messaging doesn't get to the Americans. That's the problem. So we got to get our messaging right. So they just go ahead and repeat the same thing that they repeat. But that's how they fine tune their messaging for you. It's this the craziest thing. While he's talking about supply chains, he once again acts like Americans have no idea what a supply chain was before he took office. It was a mystery. Nobody knew how their goods got from the trucks and the ships to their homes. What's a supply chain? What's that?
When it comes down to supply chains, did you ever think we'd be talking this much about supply chains? No, but I'm serious. It's critical. Everybody's beginning to figure it out. The average person knows what we're talking about when we talk about supply chains.
Yeah. I mean, we had no idea what a supply chain was. Did you know what a supply chain was, Mac? Nobody knew. No. Thank goodness for this guy. Thank goodness. We've learned so much, haven't we?
Educates America daily, Chris.
Every day. Not a joke. Every day. And he also, they're focusing on the messaging now. Joe Biden, he's doing so much for America. He does it every day. He's hustling as much as he can get done before his nap. But the American people don't feel it. They don't see it. And it's about the messaging. So they're really fine-tuning the messaging.
And wages for working families have gone up while inflation has come down 65%.
Okay. Got to keep fine-tuning that messaging because, prices have gone up over 17% since Joe took office. Real wages have declined 3%. So it's still got to work on the messaging. Got to work on it. And, he also goes off the rails and blames MAGA Republicans for things. And MAGA Republicans, it's like, no. It's conservatives and it's rhinos. So like you have a Mitt Romney or you have just a regular Republican. But he calls us MAGA Republicans.
Fortunately, we've been able to push back on MAGA Republicans so far. But they haven't given up.
No, and we won't.
They haven't given up.
We won't.
They still want to undo this progress we're making.
Progress. Did you hear that? We want to undo the progress. No. We want to clean up the mess that you've made in your 3 short years as resident in chief, one of which was spent on vacation. That's what we want to do as Republicans.
They still want to undo this progress we're making. They're proposing cuts in investments in roads, bridges, the internet, and high-speed internet, the very things that provided from they're just across the board.
Oh, did you know that extremist MAGA Republicans are proposing cuts to the internet? Okay, that's weird. I feel like the left is the one that's really dominating the internet conversation. This is news to me.
The internet and high-speed internet, the very things that provided from
Oh, all right. Thanks. When they're working on the messaging, they got a lot of work to do. The very thing that
the very things that provided from they're just across the board.
Oh, all right.
Anyway,
It's the very things that, well, we're not going to get into it.
Yeah, it's too much.
The very things that provided from the, anyway, they're across the board.
Anyway, it's across the board. Look at the board. That's what they want to cut. These MAGA extremists. It's across the board. Can you believe that? These MAGA Republicans. Why do we have to deal with this guy? 81 million votes. 81 million votes for this.
The very things that provided from the, anyway, they're across the board.
81 million votes. 81 million votes. All right. That's our boy. We're stuck with him. Hey, do you know that he put up his Christmas decorations?
That's good.
Yeah, let's focus on some good stuff.
Yeah, of course.
White House looks beautiful. Looks beautiful. I'm looking at these pictures. Notice something missing.
Okay.
No stockings hung by Joe Biden's chimney with care.
What?
No stockings.
Oh, come on.
It's like a main thing. You hang them with care.
Of course.
Well, in the past, they've hung stockings. For the past 2 years, they have. Joe and Jill and, the help would hang the stockings. And they would hang, how many would they hang? I don't even know. Oh, 6. They would hang 6 for the grandkids. And then it's just kind of weird that when they finally acknowledged their 7th grandchild that Hunter had with a adult entertainer, they finally acknowledged that grandkid in July. All of a sudden, stockings are off the menu. They're not going to go from 6 to 7 stockings. They're just going to drop them all together. It's weird. Decorations look great. The decorations look great. I don't know why I wouldn't go with 7 stockings.
0441 says no stockings because they're trying to ban coal.
Ooh. That's good. 7987 said hanging is offensive. Philip texted, he said he's saving money on the stocking stuffers. All right. I mean, I think they need to hang some stockings. 7 of them. Or you know what? Just put 6 up. Be like, nah, we're just gonna do the ones that we talk to. Just own it. Just own it. Joe Biden's also losing the youngsters, while a Democratic presidential candidate who hasn't really announced, but everybody's kind of eyeballing as somebody that could step up and be the Democratic nominee, is hanging out with youngsters. We'll talk about that on the way after 10 o'clock. Plus anything else you want to get to, 615-737-9986. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Got a crash south of downtown. It is impacting 65 northbound. The right lane is blocked there at Armory Drive. The stop and go starts at Old Hickory Boulevard. And right now in northern India, there is a lot to celebrate in the rescue of 41 construction workers trapped under a landslide. Major money going to Nikki Haley. We'll tell you all about it at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Ann. We were talking about how the Bidens aren't hanging stockings by their fireplace with care this holiday season. Basically because they don't want to acknowledge the seventh grandkid. Usually they hang six. But 1349 sent in a text. It's so funny. Well, it's hard to put things in fishnets.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there's a lot of other text that we can't read. But we will be getting that Super Text Uncensored podcast going, and you'll be able to listen to that anywhere. You can also take us with you anywhere. Tune in, iHeart, 997WTN.com, all the things to listen to us. Do you know who the WWF Sunny is, Mac?
No, but I've looked her up now.
Okay. So I don't know. She was one of my first crushes as a kid growing up in the 90s.
You see why?
Yeah, she's cute, right? If you know who she is, WWF Sunny. She's a wrestling legend, right? She was just sentenced to 17 years in prison for a fatal car crash. I mean, she has been having a rough few years since getting out of wrestling. She's going to spend the next decade and a half in prison for her role in a 2022 car crash that killed a 75-year-old man. She was drunk driving, didn't have a license, and yikes. But, I mean, back in the day, she was one of the hottest commodities in wrestling. Easily one of my first crushes. And if you looked at her now, whew, rough.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily age well. She at one point was pre-med at University of Tennessee.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
That's
looking
crazy.
that up. That's actually really crazy.
But if you ever want to warn your kids against the dangers of drugs and alcohol, just show them a before and after of Tammy Sitch, WWF Sunny, before and after, and they'll go, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I won't do that. Crazy story. 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver has the latest headlines for you right now.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in northern India, cheers and jubilation as rescuers have successfully pulled 41 construction workers out from under a landslide. It had collapsed a mountain tunnel 2 weeks ago. These workers have been trapped since then. They were brought one by one through a 3-foot wide pipe and are now above the ground. And everybody's happy there in northern India. Election 2024, major money from the Koch brothers will be flowing to Nikki Haley.
The endorsement from the billionaire-backed group, which remained neutral in 2016, will provide Nikki Haley with a substantial boost in advertising and on-the-ground outreach. In explaining its decision, Americans for Prosperity Action says polling in both Iowa and New Hampshire shows a clear trend in growing support for Haley and shrinking support for Ron DeSantis. Still, Donald Trump enjoys a vast lead in both states, as well as in national polls.
Stephen Portnoy says the Koch brothers plan to mobilize large-scale events and push voter turnout for Haley during the primaries, starting with Iowa. Hunter Biden willing to testify before the House Oversight Committee publicly. According to a letter his attorney wrote to Republican lawmakers on Tuesday, committee chairman James Comer says, great, Hunter Biden should have the opportunity to testify publicly, but he is still expected to follow the rules like everyone else and be there for his deposition on December 13th, like the subpoena issued on November 8th says. And breaking news in the Israel-Hamas war. Fox News says Israel claims terms of the ceasefire have been violated by 3 detonations and gunfire, leaving IDF soldiers injured. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Specifically regarding Precision Ag, this is a movement or an initiative that Pheasants and Quail Forever is taking on where we can help farmers take advantage of the data they collect and during harvest, during planting season, and use that to identify areas in the field that are underproducing for whatever reason. Maybe it's shade, water, there's perennial wet spots, odd areas that are just hard to farm. Farm equipment's getting big now, and it's hard to farm some of these smaller areas. And so these areas that the yield isn't high enough to exceed the input costs, we're losing money on those acres. So Are there some alternate land use covers, wildlife covers that we can use and put on the ground that benefit wildlife but also benefit the bottom line? There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of conservation programs and conservation practices out there that can benefit the land, and they require management. And so some people might be familiar with the Conservation Reserve Program, or CRP. And that is a program administered by USDA for farmers and landowners to take those certain areas out of production and return them to a wildlife cover beneficial to different wildlife.
We started taking non-productive acres years ago and putting them in CRP, and seeing a great benefit of that, not only for wildlife, but erosion control and the money side of it. You know, we have to make a living to stay in business just like everybody else. You know, if you've got non-productive acres that you're losing money on, and you can get something out of them, plus benefit the soil from erosion, plus benefit the wildlife.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 10:05. My name is Chris Hand. Don't forget, when you get out of the car, you can take us with you. Tune in, iHeart, all the things, all the streaming. Pop your earbuds in and go. We got you covered all day long. You can wake up with Nashville's morning news. Then you got Matt Murphy. Oh, then you got me. Then Matt Murphy and Brian Wilson. The whole squad. We ride all day long. So keep us with you all day long via TuneIn or iHeartRadio. You know, we'll ride with you all day long. The youngsters, though, the youngsters these days, they ain't riding with Biden anymore, man. Wasn't that a thing? Didn't they say back in
riding with Biden?
Wasn't that a thing in 2019?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
I'm riding with Biden.
Yeah, now we're not riding with Biden.
Now it's like, pull the car over.
please get me out.
Pull the car over now.
And he looks back while driving.
Don't.
I will jump. I will jump if you don't pull the car over. President Joe Biden's low approval rating among Americans between the ages of 18 to 29 threatens his reelection chances. That's the New York Times chief political analyst Nate Cohn warned on Monday in 1,200 words, less than 1,200 words. You know what's crazy to me? If you were 14 during the summer of love and you weren't paying attention to what was going on, you can vote now. You're going to be able to vote in this upcoming election. Luckily, what these poll numbers show us is that youngsters can use the internet and are good at discernment, because Biden is losing support among young voters. Biden only leads. The article from the New York Times highlighted a couple things, right? Biden only leads 76 to 20% among young voters as registered Democrats, or who previously voted in a Democrat primary. Biden only leads Trump 69 to 24% among young non-white Democrats. This is catastrophic. This stuff doesn't happen. Now, the New York Times writer, their political analyst, chief political analyst, Nate Cohn, said there's three factors to this. Young voters are by far the likeliest to say he's just too old to be effective as president. Yeah, that checks out. Many are upset about his handling of the Israel-Hamas war. Yep, that checks out. And all of this against the backdrop of Biden's long-standing weakness among young voters who weren't enthusiastic about him in 2020, and Mr. Trump's gains among non-white voters who are disproportionately young. Biden's in trouble. Biden's in trouble. And the young kids are upset about his handling of the Israel-Hamas war. They're all shouting "Free Palestine" from the river to the sea and all that. And whether you agree with those young kids or not, one thing that can't be disagreed with is that there are too many competing influences under the Democrat umbrella. And this is hurting Joe Biden, which is why we need to, as conservatives, protect him at all costs, because we need Joe Biden in the race. That's the easiest W. Now, while Joe Biden is, youngsters are souring on Joe Biden, there's another Democrat candidate, potential candidate, who's spending time hanging out with the youngsters. Hillary Clinton. In fact, there was a Cyber Monday deal from Masterclass offering a stocking stuffer to please everyone. It's a Hillary Clinton course on resilience. So she's teaching the youngsters about resilience. This is what they said on the Yahoo advertising deal. Hillary Clinton's life-changing advice is the best holiday gift. On sale for a limited time at Masterclass. And then in this Masterclass from Hillary Clinton, in a feature even Donald Trump supporters might enjoy, this package includes barrier-smashing leader Hillary Rodham Clinton reading. Hold on, get ready. You know what she reads in her class?
What?
Her 2016 acceptance speech.
Nice.
I might, had I known this deal was going on yesterday, I might have just chipped in to see that. So funny. This woman wants to be president so bad. But she's reaching out to the youth. Teaching these classes, Masterclass. And I think that Hillary wants to run. I think she still thinks it's her turn. And I think that would be a little bit more dangerous than Joe. I think that the vote blue no matter who crowd could absolutely get behind Hillary, and they're not going to get behind Joe. I just don't think that they can. I don't think that they can stomach voting for Joe Biden again. No matter what their reasoning is, there's many reasons why you don't want to vote for Joe Biden, and the youngsters don't want to vote for him. And we need Joe Biden in the race. Because if you look at some of the latest polling, Biden is down 12.2 points against Trump compared to 2020. On this same day, 4 years ago, during the 2020 presidential campaign, Joe Biden was up 9.9 points over Trump in the Real Clear Politics average poll of national polls. Today, Biden is down 2.3 points. It's a net swing of 12.2. Things are looking so different today than they looked in November of 2019. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we've seen what Biden brings to the table. And he usually gets lost on his way there. He doesn't bring anything to the table. Things are looking awful for the Democrats. But we need to protect Joe Biden. I think we all need to, as conservatives, look out for the guy for a couple more months until we reach a point where there's no turning back and he can't walk away from the race. Maybe we should all collectively lay off Joe. It's gonna be hard. he sets himself up. But Trump, he can't be touched. The founder of Home Depot is basically in the Trump camp. And he's also said that he wants an end to the unproductive and embarrassing RNC debates. That's what Home Depot co-founder and former CEO Bernie Marcus said. He's called for an end to the Republican National Committee debates for the 2024 primary, urging fellow party members to rally around Trump. This is what he said. He said, I urge my fellow Democrats, Republicans, and independents to put their love for America above all else. I urge the Republican National Committee to end the Republican debates that only benefit ad makers and political consultants. They're unproductive and embarrassing. He's absolutely right. They are embarrassing. I mean, Vivek called it all out. Look at who we're hiring to moderate our debates. Lester Holt, Kristen Welker. The Democrats don't hire, they're not going to hire Jesse Waters for a debate. But the former CEO and co-founder of Home Depot, Bernie Marcus, goes on. He says, we cannot let the America we see today be what we leave to our children and grandchildren. You know, talking about inflation, illegal immigration, rising crime. He said, I understand the frustration of some of my Republican friends who do not like or are offended by the things Donald Trump doesn't say. I, too, have been frustrated at times. But we cannot let his brash style be the reason we walk away from his otherwise excellent stewardship of the United States during his first term in office. Now is the time for unity to save the American dream for future generations. And to that, I say amen. I mean, Donald Trump's policies created an economic boom, lowest unemployment numbers on record. He had Supreme Court justices that he nominated, which we're still seeing positive ripple effects from. No new wars. We can go down the line. The economy was booming under Trump. We need to get back to that. And there are things I don't like about Trump. I hated Operation Warp Speed. Hated it. There are things that he did that weren't great. There were plenty of times where he should have just quieted down. And I get that. I get how people are upset about that. But let's be realistic. Who else are we going to get in there that can do what this guy can probably do? And all of the accomplishments in his first term, he also did while hamstrung by the media and investigations and lawsuits and impeachments. Can we get him out there with you know, and let him just do his thing? Can we? I think it's good to call for an end to the RNC debates. I think that these debates are garbage. When is the next debate? Do you even know when the next one is?
Let me see.
It's on like News Nation or something like that. Like they didn't even get primetime billing or like a good network. Like what channel is News Nation? It was on one of those lame ones. I think it was News Nation. You know, as this is happening and the RNC is spending ridiculous amount of money on debates that nobody's watching, the Republican National Committee has dropped to a low of $9.1 million cash on hand. That's the lowest in any Federal Election Commission report since February of 2015 for the RNC. That's crazy. It's a chalk up another win for Ronna McDaniel, old Ronna McRomney and her RNC. Crushing it, huh? Doing a great job.
Haven't found if it's News Nation, but it's going to be Wednesday, December 6th from 7 to 9. I think it's going to be in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, it's News Nation on
News
the
Nation.
date Brother Mac just mentioned.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't know where to find News Nation.
I've got it on my cable.
Do you?
I've got YouTube TV.
All right. Maybe I have to pick up YouTube TV.
It's not bad.
Who's going to watch this debate? It's crazy.
News Nation.
Those four
So that's
viewers.
next week. Okay, wow.
Those 4 viewers of News Nation are in for a treat with bangers like Donald Duck. I mean, nobody's watching it. Nobody. You're going to have more people in the room watching the closed door interview of Hunter Biden than you're going to have watching a televised debate on News Nation. That's my prediction. And as this happens, the RNC is dangerously low on funds, the lowest in any federal election commission report since February 2015. According to the Washington Post, at the same point during the 2016 election, the committee had around $20 million on hand. 4 years ago, when Trump was in office, this number was $61 million. So $9.1 million in cash on hand, that's a problem. That's a big problem. As of October 30th, the Democratic National Committee reported having $17.7 million on hand, just about doubling what the RNC has. Tennessee RNC member Oscar Brock says it's a revenue problem. We're going through the same efforts we always go through to raise money, the same donor meetings, retreats, digital advertising, direct mail, but the return is much lower this year. If you know the answer, I'd love to know it. The staff has managed to tighten down on expenses to keep the party from going into the red. Oh, yeah, the expenses, like the lavish apartments and all the nice things that Ronna McRomney provides herself. People familiar with the party's finances say that donors haven't made as many large checks to the committee in recent years, with the party's small dollar program also suffering. Some donors are saying that they're not giving to the committee because they think it'll help Trump, while others are saying they're waiting until 2024 to donate, and others have become frustrated with the party's leadership. Both parties' committees have seen a downturn in donations since 2021. Thanks, Joe. And operatives have attributed to inflation and donor fatigue during some periods during the Trump presidency. The Democrat committee had around as much money as the RNC currently possesses. RNC Chairwoman Ron McDaniel says that the donors are more interested in giving to individual candidates at the moment, and donations to the party would improve once there's a nominee. Maybe the RNC should just get behind Trump like everybody's basically clamoring for. Does that make sense? Can we get behind the right candidate? People are chiming in with what channel News Nation is on. 239 on Dish.
There you go.
Says Ray.
It's also on Fubo.
Fubo?
Fubo.
Yep, Fubo.
Everybody loves Fubo.
4209 said it is as irrelevant as the NIT tournament.
It's also on Sling TV.
Oh, there you go.
All right. So it's everywhere we aren't. Nice.
Who knows? The Hallmark Channel might carry it.
The Hallmark. If we can get a Christmas tree in the background, they'll do it. I know they will. They play all the Christmas stuff. But Ron McDaniel, can you get your RNC in order? 9.1 million cash on hand. A debate nobody's going to watch. It's ridiculous. In a post to Truth Social last week, Trump also called for an end to the RNC debates and the money should be used for taking down Democrats. He said, RNC must save money on the lowest ever ratings debates, use it against the Democrats to stop the steal. If not, revamp the RNC now. I echo that. It's 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Don't forget, you can take us wherever you go with the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app. We're on Super Talk TV right now, live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Did I say YouTube? YouTube also.
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. The place where our ideas are usually thumbed down and hidden away. That's also where we are. Not on News Nation, though. Not yet.
Coming to Fubo soon.
Coming soon to Fubo. It's 1022 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Paul Winkler Inc. Man, Paul is such a good guy. I've been a fan of Paul since I moved to Nashville like 8 years ago, and listening to his radio show and his style and the way he educates the people that he works with, I thought it was awesome. But when I got to sit down with Paul and have my financial questions answered in a way that I could understand, and I could tell that Paul's being honest with me and he just wants to help, that's when I decided to become a client. That's when I realized I'm all in. And Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required. And because of that, I have to tell you that I'm paid every time this commercial airs. And that's the truth. But you know what? With Paul and his team, they're not paid when you make a financial decision. Nothing his team does is done on commission. I love that about Paul and his team. You can be sure when they're telling you a decision to make for you and your financial future and your family that it is for your financial future and your family, because nothing is done on commission. There's no ulterior motives. They just want you to have a good financial future. And that's one of the things that Paul and his team do every single day. They provide education. That's where they really focus. And the education they provide is backed by Nobel Prize winning research. You can feel how smart these guys are in a brief conversation, and you can set up that conversation on his website. A complimentary 15-minute phone call is waiting for you right now at paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com. And when you talk to these guys, I'm telling you, you're going to feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest, because the experience that they bring to the table equals confidence. Confidence in what they have to say and confidence in how you will feel about your financial future. So set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now, paulwinkler.com, or pick up the phone yourself if you can't wait. 615-851-1950.
All right, looks like the right shoulder is blocked. 65 northbound right there at Armory Drive. Got a crash there. It is stop and go starting at Old Hickory Boulevard. Cheers and hugs after a successful rescue operation following a major landslide. And Nikki Haley gets some major backing in the 2024 Republican presidential primary. And the president's son, Hunter Biden, offering to testify, but there are conditions. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Looking forward to that. I find that story very, very odd. He's offering to testify?
Yeah.
Wasn't he subpoenaed?
Yeah.
So that means you have to.
Yeah.
How kind of him. What a gracious guy.
Well, you know what happens, Brother Chris, whenever you got money and lawyers.
Yeah, you spend,
Who knows?
You spend your money.
Who knows what little hole you can wiggle out of?
Jeez. I really dislike that man.
How do you really feel, Brother Chris?
I censored myself for the record. And I also forgot there's another debate happening on Thursday. Did you guys remember that old Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis are
that's
debating?
right. Yeah.
I feel like DeSantis is going to get crushed. I do. I feel like he's going to make Gavin Newsom look like $1 million.
You really? You think DeSantis is going to do bad? I mean, come on. You're such a big
Everybody
fan.
knows how pro DeSantis I am.
Well, he lives in your head, man.
Ron! I love Ron DeSantis.
Depends on how tall the lectern is.
All right, Ken Weaver with a high heel joke. I like it. Have you seen that the heel gate is not going anywhere? Have you seen that?
Of course not.
Bootgate? Is it Bootgate or Heelgate?
Bootgate.
Bootgate's not going anywhere. I saw a viral video going on. I don't know if it was real or not. You know how people are on the internet. But I mean, the heels were just monstrous. Looked like something you'd see at a drag brunch. I'm just saying. Listen, I don't think Ron DeSantis is good at debating. And if this is going to be a trial run for Gavin Newsom, he's going to mop the floor with Ron. He's just greasy and slimy enough, and Ron is going to put on his fake smile when he can't answer the question. The fake smile gets me every time. Every time.
Gosh, I hope it's fake.
Yeah.
If that's his real smile, then he's...
Yeah. It might be real.
It might be real, though. That's what I'm saying. Have we ever seen him really smile? I don't know, man.
I don't know if we have seen him smile. Like an authentic,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Smile.
He's very robotic.
I'm going to go look up that ad where he's like talking to his kid about Trump building the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And how he thought that was awesome. Do you remember the ad where he was really praising Donald Trump for all the good things he does? I think he smiled at his kid in one of those ads.
You'll have to pull that.
I'm going to have to pull that.
And then side by side it with the awkward.
I'll see which one. Like if he awkwardly smiles at his kid, I'll give him a pass.
Maybe it's the heels. Maybe he's just uncomfy. He can't smile right.
Maybe it's the heels. All right, so the debate with Newsom and DeSantis is airing at 8 o'clock Central Time on Thursday. It's going to be moderated by Sean Hannity. Oh, my gosh. It's going to be something. Why are they even doing this? Does anybody know why they're doing this? Nobody knows. All right, let's just go to the news. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in India, northern India to be precise, all 41 construction workers trapped under a landslide have been successfully rescued. They've been under a ton of mud and debris for 2 weeks until today, brought up one by one through a 3-foot wide pipe. Election 2024, the influential conservative network founded by the billionaire Koch brothers announcing it will support former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley in the Republican presidential primary. It will bring Haley substantial support in advertising and voter outreach. And the president's son, Hunter Biden, offering to testify publicly before the House Oversight Committee next month as the panel digs into whether his father profited from his business dealings, a charge the White House has denied. But Hunter Biden's lawyer says the president's son will only be willing to appear in public and not in a closed deposition. The committee chairman, James Comer, says, nope, the rules apply to Hunter just like everybody else. He was subpoenaed on November 8th to appear on December 13th for the deposition, and they expect him to be there. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that, is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
Oh my gosh, you hear the weather. It's up, it's down. You know what's really taking a toll throughout all of this weather? Your HVAC unit. And if your HVAC unit isn't heating the house the way it should, well, you need to know a guy to call. And I got a guy for you, Jeff Eddy with Efficient Heating and Cooling. It can be so hard to find somebody you trust with these large home repairs. And make no mistake about it, if your heater isn't working the way it should be right now, that is a large home repair. But the question is, do you need to repair it or do you need to replace it? Do you trust the guy giving you the advice on whether to repair or replace? Well, there's only one guy I trust. It's Jeff Eddy with Efficient Heating and Cooling. The other companies, they may just try to talk you into replacing your whole system because they make more money that way. That's not Jeff's style. If he can repair it and get you a couple more years of life out of it, he'll do that for you as well because he wants to earn you as a lifelong customer. And I guarantee you, when you link up with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, you will become a lifelong customer. Now, if repairing is out of the question and you do need to replace your system, they can help you with that too. Efficient offers up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Go to efficienthvac.net for more or call 615-784-4424. $10:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Don't forget, we got a Christmas party coming up. Massive Christmas party. The official Super Talk 99.7 WTN Christmas party. Thursday, December 7th, 4 to 8 at the Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. It's going to be a banger of a party. I can't wait.
For free, right?
For free.
For free.
That's our gift for you. See, it's a Christmas party.
Yeah, of course. Of course, it's a Christmas party.
It's a Christmas party.
It's branded like that. We've planned it like that.
This is it. It's the biggest Christmas party of the year. I said to Dan, Said, I'm just going. It's a Christmas party from now on. He said, all right, if you want to, you can call it a Christmas party. I do, and I will.
I mean, no Christmas themes,
dude. I'm coming. Wait till you see my outfit. I've been saving a T-shirt for this Christmas party.
Oh wow, you've got it planned. Oh man, this is gonna be good.
Already ready.
All right.
I tried the outfit out on Thanksgiving, and it was awesome.
It's electric.
Electric is actually the best way to put it.
Oh, I'm so pumped.
It's really great. So we hope to see you out there.
Do it.
December 7th, 4 to 8. Brian's going to be doing a show there live. Dan is going to be there. Matt's going to be there. I will be there. Anybody is welcome. It's free.
Oh, so that's next Thursday. December 7th? Yeah. So that's a day after the debate, so you can come and meet all the hosts and laugh at the RNC debate.
There's a debate?
Yeah, there actually is a debate.
What channel is it on?
Super dope.
Yeah. Ray says, why are all your functions on weekdays? Because it's fun. We put the fun in function, Ray. Come join us. We were talking about also DeSantis and Newsom. And 6173 with a mean text. I'm not allowed to say the word outfit, 6173.
Wow.
You hear that?
Wow.
What would I call it instead of an outfit?
The clothes that I'm wearing that day.
Yeah, all right. I said it in much more word economy. Like it's so mean. The meanest text I got. Does this guy say mean text all the time?
Well, he just said you're happy.
Well, yeah.
That's all he said.
And an old school Christmas song kind of way. That's all right. DeSantis and Newsom will be debating. That's in 2 days. A couple people text me, like, why are they even debating? I don't really know why or what value this is to us, says John in Lawrenceburg. I said, I don't either. I have no idea. 6173 says exactly. He's just, all right, being mean on the super text line.
Well, for John's question, I mean, to devil's advocate this, as you know, I tend to do.
Go on.
Newsom could technically, in 4 years, be the main Democratic candidate, and there is a world where DeSantis is at least amongst those top people in the Republican side in 4 years.
If you believe in alternate timelines and stuff like that in the multiverse, sure. Sure.
Okay, all right. And just
multiverse. I get it. There's a universe where Ron DeSantis isn't awkward in debates. And he doesn't awkwardly smile. Somebody, 2205 text said, how could Newsom beat him in a debate? Gavin has nothing to run on. And I said, totally get it. I think that DeSantis could mop the floor with him on policy. But DeSantis is awkward in debates. Newsom is smoother. And I think that optics-wise, DeSantis has a real chance to lose. Optics-wise. Definitely think when it comes to governor versus governor, Ron DeSantis is a better governor than Gavin Newsom. Everybody knows that. Great governor. Terrible presidential candidate. Good governor. 0388 says Gavin Newsom looks like a vampire. We all know the conspiracies about Democrats and the blood of the innocent. So that's all I'll say there. I do want to talk about Ireland. We have not talked about Ireland yet. And I want to, I think that this is one of the bigger stories, and I want to address it. So if you didn't know, if you missed what we talked about yesterday, there have been protesters in Dublin, Ireland. They have been rioting. They've attacked police, and people are blaming it on the far right and extremists and an extremist faction. But they leave out the point of the initial attack a lot, where 3 children were injured in a knife attack outside of a school in Dublin. 2 adults were also injured. One of the children was a 5-year-old girl. Critical condition. 6-year-old girl continuing to receive medical treatment. 5-year-old boy was discharged from the hospital Thursday evening, last week. Little kids attacked by a migrant. a migrant that was set for deportation because he'd already been caught with a knife. I found a story that was pretty cool from the Irish Times about the gentleman that stopped the knife attack. He's an IT professional. He was one of the eyewitnesses, and he ran up and he jumped off his bike. He said, my reaction was just jumping off my bike, crossing the road, trying to avoid the worst. It was when I saw the knife on the floor, I thought it would be safe to take the knife away. So this guy took the knife away. And there's the story he tells about a child care worker, one of the adults who was stabbed. She was trying to use her body as a shield for the children from the attack. 2 other children injured. It's a terrible, terrible story. But what we're seeing in Ireland is something I feel like we can expect to see a lot of different places. In France right now, there was a 16-year-old boy who was killed, 16 others injured in a knife attack by suspected Algerian Muslims at a village festival in France. This is a new report. And people are worried that you're going to see a lot of what you're seeing in Ireland also in France. And I think that you're going to start seeing this in a lot of countries. Because the people of these countries realize that the people in charge and the governments don't have their best interests at heart. In France, it was a gang of around 10 thugs with knives attacking a village festival hosting teenagers, leaving 1 dead, 16 injured. And it's now being reported that the attackers were a gang of Algerian Muslims who, as one eyewitness stated, were screaming, "We're going to kill white people." It wasn't just a fight like we're used to, said the eyewitness, where there's little punches thrown at each other. We saw between 15 and 20 people arrive. We didn't know them. They took out knives. They were there to kill. We experienced it as an attack. Crazy. So now they're bracing for more of these protests to riots in France. And I think we're going to be seeing this a lot as the policies that have been put in place for this mass migration are starting to bear fruit. And the fruit is not good, my friends. It's not good at all. Tucker Carlson released an episode last night where he had Bannon, Stephen Bannon, on. And if you didn't see it, it was a really, really good episode. And I grabbed some audio from it. Tucker asked Steve Bannon, "What do you make of the rioting in Ireland? What's your take on this whole situation?"
Ireland's probably one of the worst, if not the worst, because the political class has totally sold out the people. They've had, I think, 125,000 immigrants in the last year. That is the same equivalent if all of Joe Biden's 9 million illegal alien invaders here in our country all came within 1 year. That's the impact it's had on Ireland. And they're all on the public dole. There's been 100,000 Ukrainians in the 18 months or 20 months since the war started. 100,000 Ukrainians all on the public dole, all paid for out of the Irish budget. Now, some of that money is given by the EU, but the Irish politicians are by far the worst that are bought off by the EU. They're the biggest globalists. They've sold out the sovereignty of the Irish. And you're seeing a natural blowback, and you're really seeing it among working class people in the cities, Irish nationals, Irish citizens whose family have been there for generations and generations and generations and have nothing to show for it, and also in the rural communities. So Ireland is a powder keg.
And I happen to feel like we're going to see this in America. I mean, it was months ago now. I played a clip of people in Chicago residents who were upset about the illegal migration and illegal immigrants being dropped at their doorstep, saying if the government doesn't handle it, we're going to take it to the streets. We're not immune from this problem, but Ireland is a powder keg. And Ireland's a powder keg right now because the politicians in power sold out the locals. The political class sold out their citizens. Tell me this doesn't sound familiar. Ireland's a powder keg now. So of course they're gonna focus on the issue at hand, right? Of course not. They go after Conor McGregor and they try to enact hate speech laws. That's the move, not focusing on the problem.
And I think what you saw the other day in the response by the Garda, the response by the authorities was immediately to go after Conor McGregor and other folks who were saying, hey, we need to address this. We need your proclamations are no longer good enough. We need to see a plan of action because there's been enough of these immigrants attacks on citizens, including a year ago, where there was I think a murder of a school teacher, by an immigrant. So the Irish people, I think, have had a belly full of it, but you're seeing this is across the West. And it started with a mass immigration in the 60s and 70s, but really been picked up since the Syrian civil war and what the Germans did back in 2014.
The Germans back in 2014, that they saw the sharpest immigration rise in years in 2014. And the number of foreigners living in Germany in 2014 grew at the fastest rate in more than 2 decades. The figures had showed that it was an increase of about 500,000 people, or 6.8% from a year earlier. And again, they were many of them were Syrians fleeing war, also Romanians, Bulgarians seeking work. But this was a turning point for Europe was in 2014 when that mass migration started. And he's saying, this isn't going to get better. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But you're not allowed to criticize the government about their policies leading to these kind of attacks in these Western countries. You're never allowed to do that. And to the point where now they're going to weaponize you criticize. They're going to criminalize you criticizing the government. That's the next move.
If a government makes it a crime to criticize that government's policies, then it's not by definition a free country, is it?
I think you're absolutely correct, and I think you're seeing that here in the United States. I mean, as you know, you're hounded all the time. If you have a different opinion from the state, right, they're trying to criminalize that, and they're doing that, trying to do that every day here in the United States. It's one of the reasons that if they can't criminalize it to actually use the courts and the police state like the FBI to come after you, they'll basically partner with big tech to either deplatform you or to other you.
Yep. And we've seen that nonstop. They do team up with big tech because you're not allowed to talk about these things. You're not allowed to go against the government. I mean, and we've seen the weaponization of big tech. There's a guy sitting in jail right now for a meme in 2016. It's crazy. And we're going to see these problems in America. You could argue we already are seeing these problems in America. We have the same exact problem, albeit probably on a bigger scale. We have the same exact problems here in America that they have in all the Western countries in Europe.
We're seeing this here in the United States. And this is just about the situation of the problem. Think about the solution. I keep telling people, hey, think downrange to 2025. If we're able to win and closing that win, think of the issues we have to deal with, not just in the budget, but with the deportations. I mean, we have 9 million or 8 or 9 million here today just on Biden's watch. Center for Immigration Studies says we're going to have another 6 million by the time we get to the election next year. That's 14 or 15 million. I think illegal alien invaders are coming because they've gamed the asylum system. My belief is those people have to go home. They have to be returned. They have to leave our country or we're not going to have a country.
I tend to agree, and that's one of the reasons why I want to vote Trump in 2024. He's the only guy going on record saying mass deportations. We need to take back our country. If you came here illegally, you can't stay. The current regime, when asked about the amount of millions of illegal immigrants already in the country, what are we going to do? Oh, well, Mayorkas goes on TV last night and says amnesty. Amnesty is what we're going to do.
It also doesn't address the other sort of elephant in the room, which is dealing with the undocumented immigrants who are already here in the nation. And I know it's been a political football as to trying to figure out the best way to address that. But I'm going to ask you, what is the best way to address that from your perspective?
The answer is quite clear and quite straightforward, and we've been waiting for it for about 30 years. And that is to fix a system that everyone agrees is fundamentally broken, and we need congressional action, both for the lawful pathways that really need to be more robust in statute, and for the 12 million people who are here in the United States who have been contributing so fundamentally to our country's well-being. They're our neighbors, our friends, our fellow congregants. They provide our frontline workers we need to do something, and I am hopeful and remain hopeful that Congress will do it. The president, on his first day in office, presented Congress with a proposal.
It also
So they want to do amnesty. That's what they want to do. They want to take this big voting block that they've imported, and they want to put it to work with amnesty. I got more on the illegal migration. I have more on Ireland, more on France, and we'll talk about it after the break. Currently, 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And looks like some major money is going to be flowing to the one Republican presidential hopeful an influential network thinks is the only one who can beat President Biden. Today, the group announced it will support former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. We're talking about Americans for Prosperity Action.
The group, founded by billionaire Charles Koch and his late brother David, sat out the primary in 2016. Its decision to weigh in now will bring Nikki Haley substantial support in advertising and voter outreach. Donald Trump continues to be the clear leader in the GOP field, but Americans for Prosperity Action says its own polling shows of all the contenders, Haley performs best against President Biden, calling her the strongest general election candidate the Republicans can offer.
That's Stephen Portnoy reporting. Hunter Biden is offering to testify publicly before the House Oversight Committee next month as the panel digs into whether his father profited from his business dealings, which the White House denies, but lawyer Abby Lowell says only in public. Not in a closed deposition will Hunter Biden be willing to testify, saying the move would, quote, prevent selective leaks and one-sided press statements. Well, Committee Chair James Comer says the committee expects full cooperation with the November 8th subpoena for a deposition on December 13th, but also agrees that Hunter Biden should have the opportunity to testify in a public setting at a future date. Hackers linked to Iran claiming a cyber attack on a municipal water system in Pennsylvania that provides sewer and water services to about 6,600 customers in the western part of the state.
Some intelligence analysts worry this could be a precursor to something bigger or more widespread. An image allegedly sent to the treatment plant suggests that the hackers plan to target any systems made in Israel.
Well, plant officials said the overall network was not affected and that there was no risk to the quality of drinking water or its supply. Authorities, including Homeland Security and the FBI, are looking into the breach. Tennessee is among states at risk of rolling blackouts in a new report about electricity reliability during prolonged periods of bitter cold. Remember, it happened last Christmas. This year, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation report says places that normally do not experience prolonged periods of bitter cold are still at risk. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Specifically regarding precision ag, this is a movement or an initiative that Pheasants and Quail Feathers taken on where we can help farmers take advantage of the data they collect and during harvest, during planting season, and use that to identify areas in the field that are underproducing for whatever reason. Maybe it's shade, water, there's perennial wet spots, odd areas that are just hard to farm. Farm equipment's getting big now, and it's hard to farm some of these smaller areas. And so these areas that the yield isn't high enough to exceed the input costs, we're losing money on those acres. So Are there some alternate land use covers, wildlife covers that we can use and put on the ground that benefit wildlife but also benefit the bottom line? There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of conservation programs and conservation practices out there that can benefit the land, and they require management. And so some people might be familiar with the Conservation Reserve Program, or CRP. And that is a program administered by USDA for farmers and landowners to take those certain areas out of production and return them to a wildlife cover beneficial to different wildlife.
We started taking non-productive acres years ago and putting them in CRP, and seeing a great benefit of that, not only for wildlife, but erosion control and the money side of it. You know, we have to make a living to stay in business just like everybody else. You know, if you've got non-productive acres that you're losing money on, and you can get something out of them, plus benefit the soil from erosion, plus benefit the wildlife.
11:04 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We've been talking about what's going on in Ireland. If you haven't been listening, make sure you listen to us wherever you go. You can take us on the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app. Show starts at 9. So, no excuses. You got a
Come on.
smartphone. You got a smartphone.
Make it happen.
We have our own app. Did you know we have our own app?
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
You have no excuses.
The app is so sleek, too.
It is.
I use it.
I use it every day.
Every single day. I wake up. I'd set my alarm to it.
No, before I get in the car, though, Nashville's Morning News. Boom.
Boom.
Pop
right
it on.
there.
Yep.
I love it. I love
Way
it.
to do it.
Yeah. So get the app. Do it.
Do it.
All right. We are talking about Ireland. Just to recap, a Algerian Muslim stabs 3 kids, 2 adults. People in Ireland are pissed. There is protests, which turn into riots, which turn into fires. Righteous anger. Not condoning the rioting. But at least I understand where their heads are at. They're pissed. They've been sold out by the political elite in Ireland. And we've seen this replicated across many Western countries. France, we were talking, just had a 16-year-old stabbed and killed by a group of Algerian Muslims. 16 others injured in a knife attack at a village festival in France. And people are worried that they were going to see the same kind of protests in France because of this. Because the people in these countries have reached a breaking point. They've reached a breaking point. We're always told that you need to care about indigenous people and preserve the culture and all this and that. Except when it comes to white countries, apparently, you never hear about the Irish talked about as the indigenous people that we need to protect. You never hear about the French as the indigenous people we need to protect. No, they need more migration. They need to be multicultural and diverse. That's what the political leadership says, and that's what they've brought to them. And now we're seeing those trees bear fruit. The fruit is violent. There's extremism. And I don't think it's going anywhere. Jeff in Hendersonville has been waiting on the line. He's got a comment on the situation in Ireland. Jeff, you're on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, Jen. Hope the Turkey Day was good. Yeah, things are definitely coming to a head, no doubt. Mine is a little bit more towards the border. You had mentioned an additional. They figure another 6 million illegals by the end of the year. So think about that. Just 2 quick comments, and then I'll let you bounce. That's 14 million. Isn't that roughly the population of New York, Metro New York, or Metro Los Angeles? Think about that.
I think it was something like the illegal immigration outnumbers like 30-something states.
Right. So think about that. It already is changing the political landscape, right? Even a year prior to the election, right? Then you begin platform mass deportations. That's going to pull real well with Hispanics. Right. So here we are. And then number 2 is, to me, it's just unfathomable that we think that an election is really going to fix this. It's frightening. My second thing is, you had mentioned about in terms of tech companies being, in cahoots with the FBI, et cetera. At what point is my call to the Chris Ann Show or my comments on Instagram going to be played at my trial? It's the fact that I'm even thinking about this. Every American should be absolutely incensed, legal or not. I'll leave you with that. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, Jeff, you're definitely on the list, man. You call into conservative radio, you are on the list.
Yeah, I'm busted. It's all over. But what the hell? Hey, but look, this is, I think it goes beyond elections. I think people, I don't know, but I don't think I can really say what I think needs to happen because it's pretty intense. And I think, no doubt things are coming to a head.
Well, and Steve Bannon said it on Tucker Carlson show. Thanks for the call, Jeff. I really appreciate you chiming in.
Cheers. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Steve Bannon said it on the Tucker Carlson show on X, on Twitter. Think down the road. We have people here illegally that need to go home. What is that going to look like? Well, we know what it looks like right now. Right now, U.S. taxpayers are on the hook for $451 billion per year because of the illegal immigrants in our country.
Stuart, we have new numbers, a new report from the U.S. House Committee on Homeland Security majority. They say the price tag per year is $451 billion. That is both for the housing and care of the asylum seekers as well as those known gotaways.
Can we afford that when we're $33 trillion in debt? Can we afford another $451 billion per year in housing and care for illegal immigrants? Spoiler alert, no, we can't afford it. And I'm old enough to remember when Donald Trump asked for $8 billion for a wall. That was just flabbergasting. Ooh, how could we come up with that kind of money? Well, we're on the hook for $451 billion per year. Per year. Steve Bannon says, think downrange. What is this going to look like for America? We see how it's turning out in Europe. What is this going to look like for America?
We're seeing this here in the United States. And this is just about the situation of the problem. Think about the solution. I keep telling people, hey, think downrange to 2025. If we're able to win and closing that win, think of the issues we have to deal with, not just in the budget, but with the deportations. I mean, we have 9 million or 8 or 9 million here today just on Biden's watch. Center for Immigration Studies says we're going to have another 6 million by the time we get to the election next year. That's 14 or 15 million. I think illegal alien invaders are coming because they've gamed the asylum system. My belief is those people have to go home. They have to be returned. They have to leave our country or we're not going to have a country.
And until they are returned, until they go home, until they leave our country, we're on the hook for $451 billion per year. Per year. Unaffordable, unsustainable, and they're still coming. There's videos of migrants on the tops of trains riding their way to the U.S. border from Mexico. It's crazy. Lieutenant Chris Olivares from Customs and Border Patrol, he says to Fox Business that the migrant crisis is not slowing down.
This compared to the group that you're seeing here as a steady stream of migrants continue to head to Eagle Pass. This train was seen leaving central Mexico yesterday and is expected to arrive in the city across from me this week. I want to bring in Lieutenant Chris Olivares. You brought us along last night. We saw that video of the train there. Do we know when that train's expected to arrive, and what happens when it does arrive to the city just across from us?
Well, typically is what we see when we see these type of caravans. The method of transportation is usually trains. So once they make it to the northern part of Mexico, they'll get broken up into smaller groups, and then we'll see them cross between the ports of entry. Now, we do expect the train to arrive very soon, but of course, we've been seeing a constant flow here in Eagle Pass with illegal immigrants crossing between ports of entry. And when you talk about the gotaways, you talk about the sheer number of people that are crossing, well, the taxpayer, the communities here in Eagle Pass are having to shoulder that burden. And it's our responsibility as a state to try to prevent some of these illegal crossings. But as long as the federal government continues to incentivize illegal immigration, we're going to continue seeing this flow of illegal immigration between ports of entry and also these trains and caravans making their way to the border.
And the federal government is incentivizing it. They're footing the bill. Because Biden and his administration want to import a new voting bloc. Because they know the average American is fed up with the policies that they put into action. So, in the meantime, we're on the hook for $451 billion per year in housing and care for illegal immigrants. While we're $33 trillion in debt. Donald Trump talks about mass deportations. I think that's the only route to go. It's not going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be downright messy. And as these talks of deportations ramp up, expect big tech and Big Brother to try and squelch these conversations.
You're going to see hate speech law. You're going to see, I mean, even the discussion about this over the last couple of weeks with the people at Project 2025 and Stephen Miller and others have all of a sudden got the media saying, oh, we're setting up concentration camps. This is going to be worse than the Japanese in World War II, all of that. And that's just even mentioning the concept of it. So the issue of how it happened, and it's happening every day in the country, is bad enough. And if you stand up to it, you know, you're called a nativist, a xenophobe, a racist, a domestic terrorist, a violent extremist. But if you even start to bring up what's going to happen for a solution, like in Midtown Manhattan, where you have to empty out the Roosevelt Hotel and those folks have to go home, it's going to get 10 times worse. And so I hope people that watch your show appreciate the fact, particularly maybe people that are not that political, that we're going to have, and not just turbulence, we're going to have a firestorm in this country that is going to pale in comparison, I think, to what you saw in Ireland last week.
I mean, it's scary to think about, but it's also hard to say that he's wrong. I mean, what's the breaking point? There was 21 migrant sex offenders busted in one Texas border sector in 7 weeks. Sex offenders. Many of those offenses included sex crimes against children. The Arizona sector of the border, they've had such a surge that they've had to cancel field patrols and move people to processing. They shut down the Tucson Border Patrol's social media because they're so overwhelmed. I think there was an ulterior motive there. I think they shut it down because they didn't want people seeing what they're getting at the border and what they're stopping at the border, because that evidence is damning when it's pounds upon pounds of fentanyl and thousands upon thousands of illegal aliens. But it's not going anywhere. This is a problem that we're going to have to deal with. Alejandro Mayorkas wants to push for amnesty. That's not the right move. How can we give these people amnesty when they got here illegally? They broke the law to get here. Meanwhile, $33 trillion in debt. $451 billion with a B per year to house and care for these migrants. In the meantime, Alejandro Mayorkas, he's not even worried about being impeached.
Well, the Republicans have also tried to remove you from office. Has that shifted at all your strategy, given what they themselves, the Republican Party, has put out there?
I am busy at work and incredibly proud to support and work alongside the 260,000 people of the Department of Homeland Security.
He's busy at work. He's busy failing. Busy failing at work. It's chaotic. 8759 texted in, said the optics of mass deportation will be terrible. It will look like the second coming of the Gestapo, but it needs to happen. The optics will be bad. But what about the optics of 21 sex offenders being apprehended coming across the border with sex crimes against children? What about the optics of what could happen to American kids because we're letting these illegal aliens come across the border unvetted? We're releasing them into the interior of our country. What about the people that get away? Not everyone's getting caught. Not everyone's turning themselves in. The optics of mass deportation will be bad. They will. But they need to happen. It needs to happen. Because the alternative is waiting for an Ireland situation. The alternative is waiting for a France situation where people feel like the political elites have sold them out and they have to take things into their own hand. And I don't want that. I would much rather have the federal government do what the federal government's supposed to do. Keep Americans safe. Secure the border. It's a very low threshold. But they can't seem to do it. They can't seem to get a handle on it. And things are just getting worse. Things are just getting worse. Tom Holman said if Donald Trump signs him up to be head of the Border Patrol, he would be happy to be the head of these mass deportations.
I promised President Trump when he announced that he goes back, I go back, and I'm going to run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. Because these millions of people being released in this country, 9 out of 10 will get an order removal based on immigration court data. A judge orders them removed. We're going to find them and we're going to remove them. There's no consequence. We can't fix the border. We're going to have a consequence in the Trump administration.
And I think we need consequences again. I think we need consequences again. 1024 texted in and said, I have a sincere question. I'm completely on your side, but I'm just wondering, how do they vote if they're illegal? My neighbor has a green card, but he can't vote. Well, it's what Mayorkas is pushing for. Amnesty. Making them citizens. That's how they would vote. And that's what they're pushing for. That's the end goal. To change the voting demographics in this country. It's on full display. All you have to do is open your eyes and look and not trust the liberal brainwashing media who says, don't believe what your eyes see. Everything's fine. I mean, they've been saying everything's fine since Biden got into office. It's not fine. It's getting far, far worse. 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Don't forget to take us with you wherever you go. Download the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, or the Super Talk 99.7 app from your app store today. It's 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Major endorsement backed by billions of dollars in the Republican presidential primary. Hunter Biden's lawyer says the president's son's willing to testify under one condition. These stories and more coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. We've been talking about the developing situation in Ireland, what could be a developing situation in France, and how that affects us here. There was a piece of audio I did want to play. In Ireland, we see an Algerian Muslim stab 3 children, 2 adults, riots, protests, Conor McGregor under investigation for hate speech. Because why address the problem when you can go after Conor McGregor? But there's an elected official, an Irish councillor. As far as I can tell, Irish councillors are kind of like Congress people. That's what I gained from my research. But there's an Irish councillor. Her name is Sinead Barr. She's a Kenyan woman. She made history as the first black person to be elected to public service in Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom. And this is what she had to say about the protests happening in Ireland over those children being stabbed.
It is very unsettling. Everyone is living on edge right now, and we need to do something about it. We cannot continue ignoring that this is a small minority of far-right movement. It is an organized terrorist group of people who want to harm immigrants in this country, and we have to take action now. We can't keep on calling them a small, dangerous group of people, because it is an organized group of people who are radicalizing young people and encouraging them to go and harm others who are just living peacefully, who wants to live a peaceful life in this country.
I don't know how a man that stabbed 3 children and just wants to live a peaceful life in your country. Also, at the beginning of this, you could almost feel like she's talking about the fact that the Algerian Muslim stabbed 3 people, but then she quickly pivots into right-wing extremists.
It is very unsettling. Everyone is living on edge right now, and we need to do something about it.
If you stopped it there, you'd say, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. We do need to do something about it. But then she goes off on the right-wing extremist line. It's crazy. There's a video going around in Dublin from Dublin of buses of migrants being bussed into the city. Thousands of migrants being dropped off, and women pleading with the men who are in uniform, saying, please don't do this. You know what they're going to do.
We're not here for a fight. We're not here for a fight.
They're confronting the police officers, and they're saying, we're not here for a fight, but you can't do this to us.
It's so unfair.
It's so unfair. It's so unfair. You're seeing buses upon buses rolling into a migrant facility in the dead of night in Dublin just a few months ago. Libs of TikTok posted that. Concerned citizens in Dublin looking on helplessly as busloads of undocumented migrants are brought into their community in the middle of the night. And the locals know where that's going to lead. And the officials in charge do nothing. They do nothing. It's crazy to me. The whole thing is insane. They just ignore these people. They don't care about the citizens of the country. They don't care about their concerns. They damn sure don't care about the children. But they'll call us extremists. I think it's rather extreme to send in thousands of undocumented migrants into a community that is not ready or prepped for it. I think that's a little extreme. I think it's extreme calling an elected official in Ireland saying, these dangerous right-wingers, can you believe that? As far as I know, the right-wingers didn't stab anybody.
Cannot continue ignoring that this is a small minority of far-right movement. It is an organized terrorist group of people who want to harm immigrants in this country, and we have to take action now.
Okay, so it seems like their action plan is bring in undocumented migrants, have them stab locals, wait for the locals to get upset, blame the locals. Am I following that correctly? That seems to be the order of events as they've taken place. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver with the latest headlines on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, fully clothed skeletal remains found over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend have TBI agents busy in Shelbyville. They were fully intact. The remains have been taken to the medical examiner's office for examination and identification. Election 2024, Americans for Prosperity Action, an advocacy organization backed by billionaire Charles Koch, endorsing Nikki Haley as the Republican alternative to Donald Trump ahead of the Iowa caucus that starts in less than 50 days. Hunter Biden willing to testify before the House Oversight Committee, but only in public, according to a letter his attorney wrote to Republican lawmakers today. Committee Chairman James Comer says Hunter Biden should have the opportunity to testify publicly, but after December 13th, the day which he has been subpoenaed for a closed-door deposition. Israel-Hamas war update. Israel claims Hamas violated terms of the ceasefire today after 3 detonations and gunfire that injured IDF soldiers in Gaza. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund. You don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
11:34 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Take us with you wherever you go. Download that TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app, or the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app. All available in your app store, so you don't miss a moment of the Chris Hand Show, which starts at 9. Also, I don't want you to miss our next Super Talk Live event, Thursday, December 7th, 4 to 8 at the Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. We're going to be talking about the year that we've had, which it's been a doozy. It's been an absolute doozy of a year. And we're going to talk about leaving that behind and what's to come. And we want you to join us. Dan's going to be there. Matt Murphy's going to be there. Brian Wilson's broadcasting live. I will be there. And the entire event is free. It's our Super Talk 99.7 WTN Christmas party. Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina in Mount Juliet. We want you there. So please join us. Details online, 997WTN.com. We've been talking about the problem of illegal immigration. And Buck in Grundy County is on the line. He wants to talk about illegal immigration. You're next on Super Talk. Buck, what's going on? Hey, Buck
in Grundy County.
Buck, you're on.
He wants to talk about illegal immigration. You're next on Super Talk. Buck, what's going on?
So you was talking about that building, the boating block?
Yes, sir. What's up? Hey, Buck, you got to turn down your radio, man.
Yes, sir. What's up?
All right. I just we dropped him. I was going to say put him on hold. Sorry, Buck. We accidentally dropped you.
It's my fault.
What was it again?
Don't.
All right, I won't. Sorry, I just wanted to hear you say it was your fault again. I thought that was funny.
Radio off.
Radio off.
Buck.
Right. Yeah, you got if you call in.
We just got in a constant loop of hearing back. Like, okay.
I know. I thought it was pretty cool. He's definitely listening. All right, so we have been talking about the border. About an hour ago, Allie Bradley tweets out that the Arizona Border Patrol checkpoint is closed outside of Lukeville, where an influx is currently happening. Customs and Border Patrol say it's taking an all-hands-on-deck posture to respond to the thousands of migrants crossing daily. The I-19 Border Patrol checkpoint out of Nogales, is it Nogales? It was closed as of yesterday because there aren't enough agents to respond to the migrant surge in the Tucson sector. They said all of the available manpower will be diverted to assist with processing, detention, and transportation throughout. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. They've closed the border checkpoint outside of Lukeville. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Now, a lot of people want to see Mayorkas impeached, but I fear that wouldn't change anything. If Mayorkas is impeached, the policies will remain, and this is being done by design. I am absolutely convinced of it. Let's go to Gary in Goodlettsville. You have a comment on Mayorkas. Gary, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Good morning. I just learned this morning, it was on Newsmax, that Mayorkas is a Cuban-born citizen.
Yeah, you would think he would understand the dangers of communism.
Yes, which makes me believe, and especially looking at his age, how did he get out of Cuba when he was a boy? Because, quite frankly, he didn't get out before Castro really took over. He's out, and he grows up. Is he part of the Soviet sleeper program, where there are so many college students that were groomed by the Soviet KGB and the Cubans? And there he is in a high office where he can do a lot of damage. That's something to think about.
It's definitely something to think about, and it would make a lot of sense. I appreciate the call. I don't know if that's true, but it would at least bring some context to the decisions that are being made. I mean, he's asked about what about the millions of illegal immigrants in this country currently, and he basically says a lot of words, but it boils down to one word: amnesty.
It also doesn't address the other sort of elephant in the room, which is dealing with the undocumented immigrants who are already here in the nation. And I know it's been a political football as to trying to figure out the best way to address that, but I'm going to ask you, what is the best way to address that from your perspective?
The answer is quite clear and quite straightforward, and we've been waiting for it for about 30 years.
So the answer is quite clear, straightforward. We've been waiting for it for 30 years. Let me proceed with some word salad.
And that is to fix a system that everyone agrees is fundamentally broken, and we need congressional action, both for the lawful pathways that really need to be more robust in statute, and for the 12 million people who are here in the United States who have been contributing so fundamentally to our country's well-being. They're our neighbors, our friends, our fellow congregants. They provide our frontline workers. We need to do something, and I am hopeful and remain hopeful that Congress will do it. The president, on his first day in office, presented Congress with a proposal.
So he wants amnesty. That's his solution. I prefer the mass deportation solution, but amnesty is what Alejandro Mayorkas wants. Let's go to Buck real quick, who's back on the line. Buck, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Yeah, you was talking about that voting block that they've already got it established. Let me give you this instance here. I was sitting down on this table, there's about 4 or 5 of us, and this young guy, mid-20s probably, and was talking about the election. I said, well, why would you vote for Biden?
Mm-hmm.
He said, because he's going to forgive the debt, their student loans. I said, listen, let me ask you 3 questions, and I'll see if you still want to vote for him. I said, how do you stand on gun rights? Are you for or against? He said, I'm against. I said, what about illegal immigrants? He said, well, I'm against. I said, what about gay rights? He said, I'm against. I said, well, what about abortion? He said, I'm against. I said, you're a Republican, and you want to vote for a Democrat? So that's where they're already going after the young people, and of course they'll have these immigrants coming in, and it'll be awful.
Yeah, listen, young people do young people things.
Right.
And free stuff is always enticing.
Oh, yes. That's the reason that the immigrants are getting all this free stuff.
But
of course they're going to vote.
I think that we can point the younger voters to recent history. There's no such thing as free lunch. The stimmy checks came out. Everybody got their stimulus checks, and it caused inflation to go through the roof. Nothing is going to be free. We're going to pay for it one way or another. And if he wants his student loans paid off by Joe Biden, it's really his tax dollars that are paying for that.
Well, he needs to ask the other generation who paid for theirs. You know.
Yep. Absolutely. Hey, thanks for the call, Buck. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
One of the things that we can all take a little solace in the fact is that Joe Biden has abysmally low approval ratings among Americans between the ages of 18 to 29. By the grace of God, abysmally low approval ratings. Abysmally low. He's losing voters in every demographic we can think of. Every single one. That's why they have to import so many more voters. You got to bring them in because you're losing the ones you have. Does anybody think on any planet Joe Biden is going to get 81 million votes again? I don't think so. I think the only reason that he even won last time was because of the massive manipulation by the media. The stomping out of the laptop story. Luckily, though, there's something that's coming that's called America's Digital Shield. Dr. Robert Epstein has launched this. Different Epstein, no relation. Dr. Robert Epstein launches America's Digital Shield. It's to expose big tech meddling in the 2024 election. So this guy's a research psychologist, Dr. Robert Epstein, if you're not familiar. He's launching America's Digital Shield. It's this website that exposes big tech meddling through real-time ephemeral manipulation that can shift millions of votes. Okay, so what is an ephemeral manipulation? Well, that content includes search results, news feeds, video recommendations, all these temporary online content suggestions that normally disappear forever. They're now being preserved, archived, and analyzed by the Digital Shield that Dr. Epstein and his team have developed. So when you're searching for issues on Google, you may not see the same search results twice. The search results that you get may be weighted, and you'll never see that page again after you X out. Well, they're capturing those and they're archiving them. I mean, these manipulations will shift voting preferences of undecided voters by up to 80% after just one exposure, Dr. Epstein says. It has the potential to shift millions of votes in aggregate. This system, he says, is how, for the first time ever, they are finally making big tech companies accountable to the public. Epstein says, we know from a smaller system we set up in 2020 that when these companies know they're being monitored, they back down. Permanent large-scale monitoring systems are the only way to stop big tech companies from manipulating our elections, undermining our democracy, and indoctrinating our children. He also added, laws and regulations, if they're ever enacted at all, will never stop them. Only monitoring makes their activities transparent 24 hours a day. Only monitoring can help them. So I hop on this website, and I'm wondering, what does this digital shield look like? Well, they're exposing bias. So if you pull up the main page, it'll say Tech Giants Exposed, and it has Google, Bing, YouTube is coming soon, Yahoo, all these different search engines, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter coming soon. But it'll show the day and the bias of the news coverage, the bias of the search results. They say that their mission is, since late 2022, the Digital Shield Project is allowing us to capture, archive, and analyze ephemeral content 24 hours a day. Again, that is your news feed. That is your Google search results. That is something that will appear once and you will never see again. What do you see when you first open up Facebook? What do you see when you first open up Instagram? That's ephemeral content. So they're archiving that. And their mission is safeguarding democratic integrity and ensuring unbiased web access. Says they're equally committed to protecting children from harmful content through robust data collection, addressing ethical concerns to create secure digital environments. They're going to be monitoring everything. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Yahoo, Google, Bing. They say that democracy is under siege. They show a map of the U.S. political landscape on americadigitalshield.com. And it shows which states are red, which states are purple, which states are blue. And then it shows which content is being sent to those states. And spoiler alert, every single state is sent liberal content in their search results and their ephemeral content extremely. They also claim that Google flipped elections. They say that the actual election results, without Google's interference, and this is the claim of the American Digital Shield, if Google didn't interfere in the last election, Trump would have been the winner by 311 to 325 electoral votes. In reality, because of the interference, Biden gets 306 electoral votes. They say that Kari Lake would have won the AZ governor race by 51 to 57% of the vote. In reality, she lost by 50.3. They say that Herschel Walker could have won the 2022 Georgia Senate race without Google's interference. They say Tim Michels could have won the Wisconsin Senate race, that Republicans could have taken a 2 to 8 seat majority in the U.S. Senate in 2022 without Google's interference. They say that Republicans could have taken a 27 to 59 seat majority in the House without Google interference. So it's going to be interesting to see what this American Digital Shield does and where they go from here. Something I'll be keeping an eye on. I hope you do as well, because this stuff is important. And big tech is absolutely interfering. Their fingers are in the pudding. 100%. So I think it's cool that not even that it's being done, but that somebody's attempting it. I don't know how well they're going to do it. I can't claim to understand exactly how they're doing it. But the fact that somebody's out there trying to track live ephemeral experiences on social media and on big tech search engines is huge. So I hope that this is a massive win for conservatives or just truth seekers in general. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Checking in with Matt Murphy next to see what we can expect on the Murphy Show today. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 11:55. My name is Chris Hand. Make sure you take us wherever you go. Tune in, iHeart, all the apps, including our Super Talk 99.7 WTN app, in your app store, available for download for free.
Free!
What's up, Matt? Matt Murphy joining us.
Free radio for the masses. Hello. How are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm well. Doing okay.
Are you getting as excited for our Christmas party as I am?
Are we? Oh, the Wilson. Are we having a Christmas? Oh, the December 7th thing that you have declared. You declared it a Christmas party.
I have declared it a Christmas party.
All right. Do you want to do like ugly sweaters? What do you want to do?
I already have my outfit picked out.
I need to promote that more.
We do.
I've forgotten to promote it. Cedar Creek.
Yep.
Won't cost you a thing.
4 to 8, Thursday, December 7th. Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina, and it's free.
Have you been out there? I've been out there.
I have not been out there.
It's pretty cool. We'll be on a floating. It's like a floating restaurant, like a typical marina style restaurant.
I'm with
pretty
it.
cool. I'm down with it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's free. Info at 997WTN.com. We want to see you out there. So join us for the official Super Talk 997 WTN Christmas party.
You going? You going? Right?
Of course.
Yeah. I'll buy you a drink. I'll buy you eggnog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, eggnog.
Yeah. Love some eggnog.
Heck yeah.
Eggnog is awesome, but there's levels to eggnog. You know what I mean? Like there's some with the weird aftertaste.
Yeah, there's only so much I can do. Like typically you get Murphy at a Christmas party. If you get me into one glass of eggnog, the next glass will be full of like bourbon or something. It will not. There will be no eggnog. There's just eggnog's a one-off. You can't just have a night of drinking eggnog.
I saw a video of Martha Stewart making famous homemade eggnog, and as I'm watching her make it, I just thought, I think this woman's an alcoholic. That's all I could think. I don't know.
Looks great.
Yeah,
looks great for an alcoholic if she is.
Yeah, I'd love to see how she makes prison
wine. She's no
wine.
Dolly in Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
I don't think she could have pulled off that outfit.
You know, I was surprised at the number of people that were mad at Dolly.
People were mad at her?
Oh, they were just like, I was embarrassed for her. It was cringy. She's too old to do all of that. And I'm like, whatever. If you can pull it off, pull it off. I just didn't want her to fall off the stage. A couple of times I thought she might fall off the stage, but anyway.
She looked a little wobbly.
Yeah.
What do you
What's up? I don't know. That's I was telling you. You know I don't know. I was busy watching my camper get winterized. I would like to say I was busy winterizing my camper, but I didn't really have anything to do with it other than to pay the guy to do it, but because I didn't want to do it.
So what does that entail?
You've got to put camper or RV type antifreeze into the pipes to make sure that the pipes don't freeze and contract and bust. Basically,
is your camper a trailer or is it like you drive?
It's a pull behind. Yeah, it's a pull behind. It's not a quote unquote RV. It's a pull behind.
I really want one.
Oh, really? Do you?
Yeah, I've wanted one for so long.
Oh,
not a pull behind. I want one where I can look over my shoulder and yell at the kids to stop screaming.
Yeah, well, those are a little more. See, that's everyone wants that.
Yeah,
but those are a little bit more expensive.
I know
because you're combining the truck and the living space.
I'm hoping if this school voucher system goes down,
a little extra cash.
I can have a little extra cash in my pocket for that.
Well, in all seriousness, we will talk about that today. I know Governor Lee has his big announcement. We may carry that for you live at 2 o'clock, depending on timing with Senator Marsha Blackburn, who will be on in the 2 o'clock hour. Representative Scott Zepicki will be swinging by as well at some point. So.
All right. Ask Blackburn about the Epstein client list. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Years, former President Jimmy Carter is attending.
Some of the world's current and former leaders sitting in that small chapel saying their goodbyes. President Joe Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, the Obamas, the Clintons, former First Lady Melania Trump. Musicians Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood will perform. The funeral is set for tomorrow at their small town church in Plains, Georgia, where the former president taught Sunday school for many, many years.
ABC's Steve Osunsami in Atlanta. The temporary truce in Gaza extended 2 more days so far. 69 Israeli hostages released by Hamas. 150 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails set free. ABC's Matt Gutman is at Schneider Children's Medical Center in Tel Aviv, where the 11 Israeli hostages released Monday night were returned with their families.
Of the 11 released, 2 women and 9 children, all in stable condition, including 16-year-old Sahar Calderon and her 12-year-old brother, Erez.
We can't keep on calling them a small, dangerous.
She was shattered. And after the news her children were coming home, and new details today of the hostages' life in captivity.
They still were locked up in a rat hole.
That's Shahar Moore. His family released over the weekend, saying they were not physically harmed, but their captivity was punctured by boredom and fear of Israeli airstrikes.
The Texas Supreme Court today considering whether the state's abortion laws are jeopardizing the lives of pregnant women. 20 women who say their lives were in danger because of medical issues with their pregnancies have filed suit. Attorney Molly Duane with the Center for Reproductive Rights represents the plaintiffs.
The abortion bans as they exist today subject physicians like my clients to the most extreme penalties imaginable: life in prison and loss of their medical license.
You're listening to ABC News.